How's it going, everyone? I'm Vivi and welcome back to another Jak and Daxter related video. So when I made a video talking about the Mar and all that, people have been mentioning the warrior from the Precusor Legacy a lot. So with that being said, I thought of making a little theory about this guy, so just for fun, right? So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So who is this warrior? He lives in Rock Village. He was known as a hero of Rock Village for single-handedly stopping the Lurkers. The Lurkers, they're these creatures who were mainly led by Go and Maya in the first game. Their mission was to fill the world with dark eco, and at the same time, find precursor artifacts. The Lurkers, they were pretty much causing terror. Now a time came where this Klaww large Lurker appeared. He had powers, it's assumed, thanks to the precursor armor he was wearing. What he did is he wreaked havoc in Rock Village. The warrior, he wasn't able to defeat it, so he felt humiliated. So because of that, he turned into this fool, this coward. He removed all pontoons out of the bridge and just refused to face Klaww again. So what now? Where am I going with this? Well, here's the thing. Could it be possible that this guy is related to Jak, aka great-great-great-great-great-grandfather? But anyone else can be Jak's ancestor. Why this guy in particular? What, is it because of the ears, the hair, or something? No, but think of this. Where was Haven City founded? On what ground exactly? Where Sandover Village used to be. The sacred site, formerly known as Samus's Hut, is a very clear indication. Is it too far-fetched to say that someone who lived on Sandover created Jak's family lineage? Could the warrior have been part of that? Sometimes we can say a certain gene runs in the family. Call it natural talent, or being a hero, or being a fighter, that natural instinct. Now, I'm not saying that the warrior had natural talent of being a hero, but his instinct is to fight. Is he the greatest hero of all time? No, we did see him turn into a coward. And yes, of course, people can change, and who knows what happened to the warrior once the gang left to the future. So here's what I think. Perhaps it's not natural talent. Perhaps the descendants were always trained, following this legacy of becoming a warrior, someone who would protect their people. Now, if we go with what I just said, the warrior becoming stronger, changing and all that, perhaps the parents used his story to motivate the kids. The parents always told him the same story over and over again. There was this warrior back then, someone who protected Sandover Village. But what about Jak and Daxter? They're the ones who saved Sandover Village. Why not tell that story to the kids? Going with this personality in Jak 1, either he took all the credit and told a bunch of lies to his kids, or there's the following. He told his kids that he met this friend who influenced them to become a great hero. Sure, we didn't really see that in Jak 1, but maybe he thought of this later, after the gang traveled to the future, right? So with time, the kids, they were trained by their parents to become warriors, fighters, people who would defend their territory. Now let's talk about that scene from the beginning of Jak 2, once the gang left for the future. What happened to the warrior at that point? Could he have been the one who handled the metalheads that entered through the rift gate? Have you ever thought of that? Like, what happened to Sandover Village? Did it get destroyed immediately? I don't think so. I'm sure the warrior or anyone out there in Sandover Village, they were trying to save the village, right? And looking back at this scene about the rift gate, what if Core had never peeked into the past? What if there was no metalheads in Sandover Village? Would Jak even be born in Haven City if he was the warrior's descendant? We're pretty much talking about this messed up timeline, this loop. Kinda like how Jak grew up in Haven City, went back to Sandover Village to grow up, to train, and then go back to the future. It's all destiny, like Samo said. So what I'm trying to say out of all this, the metalheads, perhaps they could have kick-started this whole family legacy. The kids are born, and they were all trained to become a warrior. And then comes Mar, next in line, in the future. He not only has traits of the warrior, I'm talking about like the fighting part, the instinct and all that, but he was also the founder of Haven. But wait a minute, Mar was this technical genius. He founded a whole city. Warrior was not the technicky guy. Think of this. There was the Blue Sage in the Precusor Legacy. He had invented a machine to levitate that huge rock. The Klaww had thrown, right? The Blue Sage, he was the technicky guy back then. Maybe he taught a few tricks to the warrior at some point. The kid was born, the kid was fascinated with technology. So with time, this chain reaction occurred. Some of the kids, they just lived to study study all of this technical stuff. And with time came the Mar, who not only was given the gift of becoming a warrior, a fighter, but he was also given the gift of understanding technology and all of that. Now, of course, the Mar had a strong connection with the Precursors. Of course, he had help from them. He had an armor made of Precursor metal, right? All I'm trying to say is Jack's family lineage. There's this gift. In short, call it the House of Mar, which is their dynasty. The House of Mar is made up of descendants, and perhaps the warrior could have had a relation with this. He could have been the one who kickstarted all this. Perhaps all of this happened because the metalheads triggered, I don't know, a family. Something happened, warrior was fighting, he met this girl, and you know, they became a couple. They had kids. And with the blue sage and all of that inspiration and all, the kids had natural talents. And with time we got Mar. But what about Jack? Jack is a fighter. He has it in him. He was fortunate enough to become a fighter and defend Haven City, but he wasn't so fortunate when it comes to technology. Now, a lot of people are saying, what if Jack is Mar? I'm not gonna get into that whole discussion right now, but I just don't picture Jack being Mar. He's not the technical person, unless he learned something from someone with time. But I'm gonna leave it at that. So pretty much, all of Jack's ancestors were raised on Sandover Village until Haven City was born, thanks to Mar. Now, of course, someone else could have come to Sandover Village with a boat. I mean, anything is possible, right? But I don't know, there's just something about the warrior. His fighting skills, not saying he's an expert fighter, but just that thought of trying to defend. With time, I'm thinking he came into contact with the Blue Sage. He taught him a few tricks, and with time, all of this understanding of technology, it just caused this chain reaction, and it simply became part of the family. Okay, wait, hold up. Jack's ancestors being raised on Sandover. The warrior is one of his ancestors. Mar came in next. Mar is Jack's ancestor? Well, yeah, I think so. Jack was named after him. I repeat, after him. That doesn't mean that Jack is Mar, alright? Remember when Damas said the seal of Mar being the symbol of lineage of the family, the House of Mar? There you go. It's as simple as that. That's how I see it. If you want to keep this whole theory thing short about the Mar, there you go. But what if the warrior is Mar? Oof, nope. That would mean he would have used the last rift gate we saw in the beginning of Jack 2. That last rift gate was used by the gang to travel to the future. So no, the warrior, he was left behind. If, let's say, he was the Mar who time traveled to the future, which I think doesn't work, I just don't see him founding a city. Sure, he learned a few tricks from the Blue Sage, but what I think is this: with time, all of that natural talent of being smart, it simply grew in the family. With time, Mar was born and he was given the gift to deeply understand how everything works. Now, here's something else I wanted to point out. Now, this is probably completely unnecessary. Time to overthink things a little. What if Mar and the warrior or others were prone to injuries? Sometimes people say that it's part of the family. Becoming injured easily, it's part of your genes. I think I've read a bunch of stuff like that online, I'm not too sure. Looking at the warrior, he has injury on his right ear, judging by the bandages. Mar's statue, his ear seems to indicate that perhaps his ear had gotten injured as well. Heck, some might argue about his facial structure, comparing it to the warrior. But then again, this statue might not represent the Mar 100% accurately. It's handmade, it was sculpted, that's what people remember of him, but it doesn't necessarily represent him 100%. So maybe that's not an injury, maybe that's just his ear looking normal, but yeah, I don't think it was very necessary, but I just wanted to throw that in. Some might think, hey, maybe having ears like that, it's genetic. Mar got that from the warrior, let's say, or his father. But seriously, we're just looking at a statue, maybe the model just looks like that. I mean, the warrior's right ear is injured, I think, if we look at the bandages. Mar is his left ear, so right ear, left ear, I don't know. We're going too much into biology territory here, so let's leave it at that. But yeah, I have nothing else to say. If you guys have other thoughts, other theories, leave them in the comments section below. I would absolutely love to read them. And yeah, other than that, if you have questions or anything like that, also leave them in the comments section. And yep, as usual, I've been Vivi, and thank you for watching.